Sorry.
To
Whoa,
use that one.
whoa.
Well, this way it doesn't have to.
The first order of business is to swear in our new board members and the superintendent. So we'll start with Heather. You want to stand and repeat after me?
Sure.
I, Heather Becker.
You have to hold the mic over there.
Oh. Oh, it's coordinates. I, Heather Becker,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of trustee of the Iroquois Board of Education
I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the Iroquois trustee of the Iroquois Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
And then if you could just sign the book. After me.
Sure.
I, Keith Vergeen,
I, Keith Vergeen,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of trustee of the Iroquois Board of Education
of trustee of the Iroquois Board of Education
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now the superintendent.
I'm going to cheat and just read it. Where is it?
Hold on. Just stand up. I gotta get yours. There you are.
I, Douglas R. Schofield, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the superintendent of the Iroquois Central School District according to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Congratulations. And then if you could sign the book, please, right there. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next order of business is nomination of the President of the Board of Education.
Remember, your mics need to be on if you're going to talk.
Are there any nominations for the President of the Board?
I'd like to nominate Jane Sullivan.
Second.
Any other nominations? If we could take a vote? Yes? No? Okay. Abstain? Discussion? Motion passes. Congratulations, Jane.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. And I, Jane Sullivan, do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of President of the Iroquois Board of Education according to the best of my abilities. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for your confidence in me once again.
Okay. So we are right about the Vice President.
Okay, and that opens it up for nominations for our Vice President. Who wants to sit next to me this year?
I'd like to nominate Jim.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, with that, we'll take a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? And that carries. Welcome, Jim.
You have a oath to, Jim.
Can't post.
I, Jim Michaelak, do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Vice President of the Iroquois Board of Education according to the best of my ability. Thank you very much.
Okay, so that leads us to our appointments, and before we can actually vote on that, we do need to figure out what positions each of us are going to take for ECSB and district committees. So,
Those are last year's.
okay, thank you.
325.
325,
325.
there we go. So we need the delegate to the Erie County Association of School Boards Delegate Assembly. Last year, that was Heather, and our alternate was Chuck.
Would Chuck or Heather mind explaining to the new board members what that position entails? Just so they're aware. Otherwise, you sit there and go, I don't know what they do.
Sure. The delegate assembly is the voting branch of the Erie County Association of School Boards. It's also the committee that gets together, and they actually, from other committees, we have different directions that we might want to go with the legislative or finance and things like that. All of that goes to the delegate assembly. The delegate assembly has the last word. They are the governing body of ECASB. And besides just being that, just the interaction at the delegate assembly meetings with other school board members from other districts, the information and exchange that you have with those folks is absolutely invaluable. In many aspects, as far as school boards go, we have the same issues other school boards have. They have the same issues, although we are all unique within our own communities. And some of the solutions that they come up with, some of the problems is, it's very, very good. We brought a lot of good information back to the Iroquois Central School District through that organization. So, the new board members, I would highly encourage you to get involved in any way you can, time permitting, because it is a commitment, and you do meet, depending on what committee you get on, a few times a year. So.
I think the delegate assembly meets like 4 times.
I think it's 4 times, yeah. Unless
So it's not every
something,
month.
unusual comes up and, they need to hold a vote, but they've been trying to do that electronically if possible, so.
Okay.
And I was on that committee two years in a row, so I'm kind of interested in joining maybe another committee, but if nobody wants it, I'll also join it.
Delegate assembly is a really good introductory exposure to ECASB as well, because you do kind of get to see a lot of the inner workings.
And their evening meetings.
Yeah, they're evening.
4 times a year?
Yeah.
I would, I'd be interested in
Okay,
taking that.
all right. And then we need an alternate.
I can be the alternate.
Okay. Then we need a representative to the Erie County Association of School Boards Legislative Committee. Last year, that was Jim, and our alternate was Louise. That's,
I would do it again. It's basically where you meet with other school board representatives and kind of set the agenda and the goals to work with Albany and the local governments for the school boards across the state.
okay. All right, so Jim will do that. We need an alternate. Bob? Okay. Oh, thanks, Bob. A representative to the Erie County Association of School Boards Finance Committee. Last year, that was Chuck, and our alternate was Louise.
Yeah, Finance Committee, we basically review the audits of ECASB. We also steer the financial direction of the organization, investment policies. We come up with budgeting. We propose the budget that goes to the delegate assembly for approval. That's it. We usually meet around 4 times a year as well. I think there's 3 scheduled, but we usually have at least 1 special meeting. So I would do it again unless somebody else is interested in doing that, which is fine with me too.
Okay. So,
You know, as far as alternates go too, usually it's expected that the alternate hopefully can attend should the primary be unable to attend. But personally, I would highly encourage alternates to also attend the meetings, even if the rep is there. Again, the information is just invaluable.
I just wonder if you're going to train her when we mention state finance to go on as long as you do.
Yeah, me and Heather will spend some time together.
all right. Board of Education representative to the Iroquois Central School District Audit Committee. Who's up
John,
for
you want
that?
to talk about the audit committee and what it is?
Yes, the audit committee is involved with 2 primary audits that are done in district, which are the internal audit, which is kind of looking at our operational policies and making sure we're doing what we're doing in our policies. And external audit is the year-end audit where an auditor comes in, evaluates our finances, helps us close the year up really and clean up a lot of things that are open issues. But then they also do a full report of those finances for the year, and this committee meets 3 or 4 times a year. And we'll review those audits, we'll review what they're going to look at in the next audit and kind of pick areas where we want them to look at. And it's definitely, basically, you're going to represent the board at the summary meetings that we have, because there's a lot of detail that we do with the meetings. We can't share all that with the time we have at this meeting, so you're going to kind of bring that information back to the board and report to them.
How many times do they meet a year?
3 or 4.
Who's up for being on the audit committee?
Who was last year?
Louise.
I would do it.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Board of Education representative to the Iroquois Central School District Wellness Committee. Last year, that was also Louise.
I like that one.
Okay, Heather.
You still want to tell people what it is for the new members, John? Or, yeah, John.
Yeah, Wellness Committee meets also maybe 4 times a year, and we have some different representatives of the, administrative staff. We have teachers. We have, I think, a parent still involved. But trying to get go through current issues with the wellness, with our wellness policy, and kind of address things as they come up. There's always new things coming through New York State and how we prepare and how do we meet the needs of New York State requirements, and that's what we talk about.
Okay. The Board of Education representative to the Iroquois Foundation Wall of Fame Committee. Last year, that was Bob. You want to do it again? Okay.
You mind explaining what you, for the new board members, just so they know?
So what they do is they go over past graduates of Iroquois and their contributions basically to the community, and we vote on it and we bring it back to the board.
Not the Iroquois board, the
Foundation.
foundation.
And it's a totally different thing than the athletic wall thing. It's more
General, everybody,
Yep.
anybody who graduated from Iroquois.
nominated, and there's like criteria that has to be filled out and not.
Okay. A Board of Education representative to the Iroquois Central School District Athletic Wall of Fame Committee.
Louise.
Louise. You'll do it? Okay. Bob? And again, I think that is just another committee that we sit on, where we help choose the athletic Wall of Fame recipients for the year. Okay, Board of Education representative to It Takes a Community, ITAC. Last year that was Heather.
I'll take that one again.
Do you want to tell us what it's about?
So it takes a community, is what the acronym stands for, and it's an organization about drug awareness in our community. And I go to their events and go to their monthly meetings to understand what they're up to and support them in all of their events, or most of their events.
Okay. And now it's time for us to determine our Board of Education representative to each building for our ambassador program, where it allows for members of that building to be able to have direct access to a board member. The goal is for you to reach out, attend a faculty meeting or two throughout the year, reach out to the principal, reach out to the parent-teacher organizations, and just, have a little bit more of a presence in that building. And we have one for Alma, one for Marilla, one for Wales, 2 for the middle school, and 2 for the high school, which also includes taking transportation as well. So the high school and transportation are together. Last year, Alma primary was Sharon, Marilla was Chuck, Wales was Jim, the middle school was myself and Bob, and the high school was Heather and Louise. So how would we like to split that up this year? Does anybody have a preference? Let's start that way. Chuck?
I'll do Marilla again.
Okay. Keith? You have?
I'll do high school and transportation.
Okay.
I'll also like to do high school and transportation, because I did middle school last year.
Okay. Heather? I'm going to put you at Wilson, okay? Heather B. Jim, Heather?
I'll do Alma just to stay out of my husband's hair.
Oh, that's a good point, okay.
I'll do the middle school.
And then that puts me at the middle school as well. Okay,
All right.
and that fills in all the
And then-
committees?
And then remember at the, for the new board members, at the district planning conference, which is
July 25th and 26th?
25th and 26th, we try to sit you by the building principals that you're the building of. That way you can start talking to them and hear what they have to say. Okay?
Jane, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Just go through those again. I didn't hear.
For who, the buildings?
For the buildings? Okay,
Heather
so for our
for-
Our buildings are going to be, the Alma primary is Heather Jacobs, Marilla is Chuck, Wales is Heather Becker, the middle school is Jim and I, and the high school is Keith and Bob. Mhm. Okay. And with that, that brings us to,
Back to 3.
yeah, back to 3, and looking for a motion to vote on items 3.01 through 3.49.
Motion.
Second.
Heather needs to
Oh, yeah,
abstain.
you're right.
Okay, so, all right, discussion.
Yes, I'll be abstaining because Nora's named in this particular resolution.
And I believe that's the same reason
Yeah,
for Heather.
same for Heather, yeah.
Just to be clear to the
Heather
community.
Heather Jane.
Okay. Oh, I see it there. Okay. All in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5. Opposed? And 2 abstentions? And that motion does carry. That brings us to item 4, official bank depositories, and these we have to go through individually, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
4 or 5.
So
And if anyone has any questions, we'll answer, what any one of these means. So just ask.
So the superintendent recommends the approval of the following resolutions on our banking. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
John, there's no changes, correct?
Nope, it's the same as last year, no
Same
changes.
as last year.
All in favor? Opposed? And that motion carries. Number 5, the official school newspaper. The superintendent recommends the approval of the Buffalo News and the Elma Review and/or East Aurora Bee as our official newspapers. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. I will be abstaining because I work for the Elma Review.
And just to be clear, the reason it says and/or is because that allows us to use all of them or any one of them, depending on what audience we wish to reach.
Okay, all in favor? 6 opposed, and I abstain. Okay, that motion carries. Resolution of authorizations 6.01.01 through 6.01.16. Okay, can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Anything in here that we,
Nothing's changing this year from last year. This is why this meeting is so thrilling, because there's typically very few changes.
right, all in favor? That is all 7 of us. Motion carries. Building use fees, 7.01, the superintendent recommends the following resolution on school co-sponsored student and community organizations. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
There's been no changes to the list of people that work with students. If there is a change during the year, we'll be sure to let you know.
Okay, all in favor? That is all 7 of us. Motion carries. Facility use charges, the superintendent recommends the board approve the facility use charge for the 2023-2024 school year. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
This, some people is, why don't you charge more? The reason is we're not a profit organization, so therefore we're not going in there to make a profit off people using the billing rate. So what John does in his office is he looks at costs of maintenance on the individuals and the utilities and comes up with the estimate of what it would be per room or facility. The new one on this is the turf across the road, if someone is using that with the lights and the bleachers. Other than that, it's remained the same, so he'll monitor that throughout the year to make sure people using it, it's actually a balanced cost for that.
Does that get updated, or is there a CPI increase, or how does that get reviewed?
Yes, we do. This year was about a 3%, I think is what we applied to those rates because there's labor and things like that in there, so we did apply 3% to that.
All in favor? That is all 7 of us. Motion carries. Number 9, voting devices and annual budget vote and board election. The superintendent recommends the resolution as written. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
We're planning on doing it the same as we did this year. It seemed to go very well. We did switch to using the iPads. That was very successful. It allowed for much smoother sign-in and check-off and verification of people residency. So really no change because there was a change this year.
And let's put the dates out there. The annual budget hearing is going to be on May 7th of 2024, and the vote will be on May 14th of 2024 from 7:30 in the morning till 9 p.m. Okay. All in favor? That is all 7 of us. Motion carries. Board policies and regulations. The Board of Education renews and reaffirms all existing and revised board policies and regulations. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I really don't understand why the state requires us to do this each year, to be honest with you. Throughout the year, you'll see where updated policies come in, and we update the policies and discuss them. In fact, I'll be talking about a policy in the next meeting.
Discussion. All in favor? It's all 7 of us. Motion carries. Code of Conduct. The Board of Education adopts and renews the Code of Conduct for the 2023-2024 school year. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. So I'm just curious about the committee members for this.
Yes.
To be designated, or is Charlie going to be the committee member for the Board of Education?
That's one we haven't had on the other one, so that's a great question. So I'll look to Nora to add that to the list of people we have over here in 3. So who would like to be on it for this year, and then we'll let Chris know, because he heads it up out of the high school.
So do they meet just once a year to review the code of conduct?
Sometimes they meet, and sometimes they do electronically.
Okay.
Last year, the year before, there were a lot of changes to it, so there were some in-person meetings. I think this year, just electronically, they met and reviewed it, because of all the changes last year. So who would like to be the representative for this?
I could be. Or no, Keith.
Oh,
Definitely.
wait.
Yeah. Your hand went up first.
It was a delayed reaction. I was stretching.
Just hold your hand down.
Gotta be careful. You can't raise your hand if you don't mean it.
It's Heather. I'll take that.
Yeah, I actually find that interesting, because how you interpret things and how other people interpret them can be very different, trying to have clear wording. Pardon? No major changes at all.
All right.
That's always.
Any other discussion? All right. All in favor? Heather, you're, yep.
I would recommend you abstain, only because Ken is on the committee.
Okay, so Heather Becker's going to abstain because her brother is on the committee. Okay. So all in favor? 6. No. And abstain? Gotta raise your hand, Heather. Okay. All right, and that motion carries. Athletic Code of Conduct, the Board of Education adopts and renews the Athletic Code of Conduct and Ethics for 2023-2024 school year. Can I have a motion, please?
I have a question about that. So the committee
Well, that's that
members-
discussion.
Oh, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion.
So the committee members are the AD and then a couple parents and coaches. Does it need to be anything more than that? Or is it always?
Doesn't need to be. I mean, if the board
Okay.
wishes to look at it and have Carrie come in and present on it and have a discussion, if they want other members on it, by all means, we can do that.
Okay. What are people's thoughts? Or we can keep it as is.
I mean, do we have a
Why
problem with our athletic
don't we put it
No.
on
I probably need to
the reorg? We can have a quick discussion, like a 30-second one, after people look at the committee members and look
Okay.
through it and see if they want to change it. That way, they're
Okay.
making an informed thing based on your question.
Okay.
I mean, it'd just be a quick.
Just to maybe back up, what was your question? So it was clear to me what
So
you were
the
asking.
general code of conduct
Yes.
had a variety of different people on the board
Right.
to define the code of conduct.
Correct.
And for the athletic code of conduct, it's only the athletic director and a couple parents and coaches. So just wondering if
Should have
we should have a board
Yeah.
member on it.
Or expand it to other people
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
have another administrator on it, things
I mean,
like
I would,
that.
I would agree with that, because I mean, I think it
Yeah.
just also follows suit with what we're doing as far as representation. So I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so I'll have it on somewhere in the district planning conference, have a discussion, and we can
Okay.
discuss who should be added to it.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Sounds good. In the meantime, adopting and renewing, can we take a vote? All in favor? That is all 7 of us. Motion carries. And then 13 is the Professional Development Plan. The Board of Education renews and adopts the Professional Development Plan for its annual adoption with the addition of the 2023-2024 district goals upon Board of Education approval.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. When we say upon board approval, does that mean this approval, or is there something that
No,
will
this
be-
approval.
Okay, all right,
Why it's worded different than ones, I don't know.
all right.
I think it's just the way it's always been. Mary Jo, would you want to say anything about it?
Yeah, just so you know, we had, every 5 years, we have to send the document to New York State now to get approved regarding what hours count for CTLE and what constitutes professional learning. They don't consider it professional development anymore, it's professional learning. Just let you know that it was approved in January, and so we're technically good for 5 years, but the board still approves it every year.
Okay, and for our new board members, CTLE is?
Oh, sorry. Continued learning, anyone who has a professional license, and it could be even someone who's been teaching for a number of years, but goes back for a new teaching degree, a new certification area, or an administrative area, every 5 years they have to have 100 hours of professional learning from an accredited organization. And so we as a district either accredit them, or they, the company or the teacher goes to the state and gets accreditation that way.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor? That is all 7 of us, motion carries. Committee appointments, the superintendent recommends the appointment of the members of the following committees that are listed.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Gotta be faster. All right, discussion.
All these committees have members that are designated by the state, and I mean by that, the titles of where they should come from. We meet all the qualifications, and therefore we're just moving forward with it.
All in favor? That is all 7 of us, motion carries. Memberships, the superintendent recommends the Board of Education affirm its membership in the following cooperatives for the 2023-2024 school year. That is Erie 2 Area Schools, Self-Funded Workers' Compensation Consortium, and the School and Municipality Energy Cooperative. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
You'll catch on. Okay, discussion.
John will chime in if I have anything wrong, but the workers' comp is basically a group of schools got together, and we do it self-funded. Makes it more cost-effective than paying the insurance through the state or any other way, so we're able to keep the price down. And then it's called SMEC, the School Municipality Energy Cooperative. That SMEC allows us to buy our energy right off the exchange, so we cut out a lot of middlemen, which is an increased cost.
And this isn't a change from last year?
Not a change from last year. We actually put this on every year, just to be transparent to the public. Doesn't even need to be on, but we feel it's important for people to know what we're doing.
Okay, all in favor? That is all 7 of us, motion carries. 16, Omni Group, the superintendent recommends the approval of the continued use of Omni Group as the third-party provider for the district's 403B and 457 plans. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second? Discussion.
Real quick, John will correct me if I'm wrong again, but we have 2 choices, because the state, I think it's actually the federal government, put in regulations overseeing retirement plans that there's certain rules they have to follow, and you need someone to oversee to make sure all members are following this, and all sellers of retirement plans are following the rules. So we can either hire a person internally or hire an external group. We chose for cost efficiency to hire an external group, because it's a huge task and very specialized, and it would take tons of training, and you have to have backup people and everything else. We do not bear a cost for this. It actually is taken on by the people who sell the retirement plans. So it's really, we're just putting it on here, so it's affirmed of how we're doing it.
Okay. All in favor? That is all 7 of us, motion carries. Number 17, Orleans Niagara BOCES. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the resolution as written.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
This one and the next two, which is for Erie 1 and Erie 2, are all just requirements by law that we have to say we're going to participate with BOCES. Ironically, state law forbids us from pulling away from BOCES, so it's a requirement that we do, and I don't quite, again, understand why the state has us do it. I wish I could,
Okay.
understand things, but I don't know, maybe I'm too logical.
So all in favor? That is all 7 of us. Motion carries. 18 is Erie 1 BOCES. The superintendent recommends the resolution regarding Erie 1 BOCES. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Discussion. All in favor? That's all 7 of us. Motion carries. Erie 2 BOCES. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the resolution to allow us to use Erie 2 BOCES.
So moved.
Thank you.
You're getting used to this, aren't you?
Discussion. All in favor? Motion carries with all 7 of us voting. Contract bids. The superintendent recommends the district participate in federal and/or state and/or county and/or other school district bid contracts. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
John, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a purchasing policy, and the purchasing policy states for certain amounts, you have to get quotes, and you have to get bids, and so on. What this allows us to do is if the Alma town went out and did a bid, we could actually use their bid, or if the state went out and did a bid, we can use their bid rather than having to go through the whole process ourselves. It's called piggybacking. We can use existing bids.
This is like where I think it's John with like BSN Sports, since they have a federal bid, we can just buy directly from them, right?
So like state bid, yeah,
Yeah.
state contracts, so we can use
Yeah.
those. That's correct.
The federal two's in here, county, school districts.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion carries with all 7 of us voting yes. 21, the superintendent recommends the board approve the following continuing resolution on government donated foods. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Discussion.
Again, it's a requirement. We, get subsidized by the federal government, the state government, and every year we have to have this resolution.
All in favor? Motion carries with all 7 of us. The superintendent recommends the authorization of the pay rates be established for the 2023-2024 school year as follows. Are there, in motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Are there any changes to this?
There are changes in how they're noted, so if you look at tutors, there's no change there, but if you look under lifeguard, there is a change by 50 cents. So the ones that have a previous year next to them are a change. The ones without any previous year, it's the same rate. HR and business office went through these, and it's the same explanation for item 23 and 24 is 22.
So our new rates are keeping us competitive?
Yes.
Yes.
I looked over, they're all nodding their heads, so yes.
All right.
But it's competitive, well, competitive is an interesting word because, with shortages in the workforce, that's a very interesting word. It doesn't mean we're always fully staffed in all these substitutes, for instance. We would always like a few more, but there just doesn't seem to be anyone out there, and all entities are having the same issues we're having.
Okay. All in favor? Motion carries with all 7 of us voting. And then the superintendent recommends the authorization of substitute pay rates be established for the 2023-2024 school year as follows. Motion, please.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Okay, and the motion carries with all 7 of us. 24, substitute, Okay.
Different group of
Yeah,
substitutes.
different group of substitutes, got her, caught by reading that. The superintendent recommends the substitution teacher and teacher assistant pay rates are established for the 2023-2024 school year as follows. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Discussion.
Just the principals are very thankful for the daily building substitute teacher. They really provide a lot more stability within the buildings for them and the need for it.
What's the C and the non-C again? It's a-
Certified, non-certified.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor? And the motion carries with all 7 of us. Okay, the superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the following mileage rates to be charged to the 2023-2024 school year.
So moved.
Discussion.
This does not include the salary for the driver. That would be above and beyond on this.
Okay. All in favor? Motion carries with all 7 of us voting. The Repair Reserve Fund, the superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the following resolution regarding the Repair Reserve Fund.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
This just authorizes us to be able to add it to the budget discussions if we choose to fund it. This year we did, last budget vote, we did choose to fund it, so that was put out to the voters. That's how you secure the monies. So this just gives us the opportunity to have this as part of our discussions during budget deliberations.
Okay. All in favor? And motion carries with all 7 of us voting. Providers, the superintendent recommends the adoption of the following companies as sole providers. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
This is not a requirement, but I personally like to have it in here because a sole provider means you're not going to go out to bid. This is the company you're going to use for those products. For these items, we like to keep it consistent. We always don't want to be switching the student database. So for efficiencies and consistency of materials on hand, but also we want to be transparent, so every year we have it on here, so if anyone has any questions, they can ask.
Okay. All in favor? And that motion carries with all 7 of us voting. The superintendent recommends the following resolution on the standard workday. Can I have a motion, please?
Second.
Discussion.
I laugh at this one. I have no idea why these 2 positions have to be on here to have this approved, except we were audited once by, I forget which state or federal organization, and they said we weren't doing this 10, 20 years ago, so we've put it on every single year since. The rest of the people, I guess you can work whatever hours you want. I don't know.
That's weird. Anyway, all right.
Don't get it.
All in favor? Yeah. Opposed and abstain? And of course, Mr. Specht is abstaining because this includes his wife. All right, that motion does carry. 29, the superintendent recommends the following resolution regarding qualified lead evaluators. I'm sure that will require some discussion. Motion, please.
So moved.
And discussion.
This is a requirement by the state to say that administrators are qualified to observe and do the APPR, which is the Annual Professional Performance Review of the teachers and staff. And the other resolution is so central office can evaluate the principals. Again, it's something the state requires us to have in here. Hopefully you want everyone reviewed and evaluated.
Okay. All in favor? Motion carries with all 7 of us voting. 29, the superintendent recommends the approval of the following resolution regarding qualified lead evaluators. Can I have a motion, please?
Second.
Discussion. Okay. All in favor? And that motion carries with all 7 of us voting. And that concludes our reorganization meeting and leads us to our special meeting. So if you'll switch agendas, please. And we'll call this meeting to order at 8:48 a.m. Welcome to all who have come to observe the meeting of the Iroquois Central School District Board of Education. There are 2 periods of recognition of guests listed on the meeting agenda. The first is for comments regarding agenda items. The second is for topics not on the agenda. Speakers may offer comments related to school operations and programs, but the board cannot hear personnel complaints against individuals associated with the school system. Please address these concerns to the appropriate administrator. If you wish to be recognized, please fill out the appropriate form and turn it into the district clerk. As per policy 1514, public participation at board meetings, public comment is limited to 15 minutes total unless the board suspends this limit. Each person is given up to 3 minutes in which to address the board. Additionally, no more than 3 people may speak on a single topic unless the board also waives this limitation. This is a meeting held in public rather than a public meeting, which means we will not be engaging in dialogue with members of the community this evening. District personnel will follow up with you regarding your concerns. Rest assured, we are listening carefully and take seriously what you have to say. Please demonstrate respect by speaking to the issues, sharing ideas and opinions, but not engaging in personal attacks. The board appreciates your willingness to share your concerns and celebrations. Please be advised that this meeting is being live streamed and the recording will be posted on the Iroquois website. And with that, we go to our public hearing on safety plan, and that's Mr. Schofield. So
Hey.
hand it over to you.
So sorry, the first meeting of the year is always so much fun, but they get better and more discussion, especially at the district planning conference later in July. The Erie Safety Plan, if you look at it, says Erie 1 BOCES. The reason it says Erie 1 BOCES is because we actually hire Mr. Bird through Erie 1 BOCES to come out and work with us on the safety plan. He's an employee of Erie 1 BOCES. He actually does multiple school districts. There's requirements set up by the state that all have to be followed by these plans. And this is just a quick review on it. And what it is, it comes from Safe Schools Against Violence in Education in 2000. Started requiring these, and to develop all hazards, district-wide building level plans. And what they want to do is how you respond in an emergency. That they want these in here, so like fire drills, things like that are written down. One thing that they want us to coordinate with local law enforcement, which we do. Alma has Officer DePlato on it, who is strictly, we have an agreement with them, is strictly centered here at the school district, and he works closely with the sheriffs and the state troopers to have them come in and work with it. We've even had the FBI come in and do trainings here. The annual school safety training for staff and students, so we provide that. That's where all the drills happen throughout the year. And in 2016, the slave legislation, additional things about violence prevention and mental health training for all staff, which we do provide. Plans are public, and what I mean by that is the district-wide plan is public, and that's why some people say, why is it so general? Well, we really don't want people to know in some types of emergencies exactly what the plan is. Obviously, fire drills, very easy to know what's going on with those. And then if we go to the, whoops, I should be clicking through, sorry. It's been a long time since I've been in the classroom. District-wide, and then we move to the building level. These plans are confidential. So therefore, when people say, well, what's going to happen to my child? We don't want people to know, because you might tell someone who tells someone where they're going for safety and that. We want to keep that a little more secure. So there's different levels. The school resource officers actually went to a training at the Amherst Police Department facility to go through all different laws, regulations, trainings. And it wasn't just for emergency if someone's coming in the building, but that training also included how you talk to students, how you talk to staff, how you talk to administrators, how you get involved in situations, mental health for all these positions, because they're really a great resource, and they go around providing safety and security for people. So when you're in that role, it's very important of how you talk, how you conduct yourself for that. And so they had, well, it started at 8 to about 5:30 training on that the other day. New for 21-22 school year and continuing for 23-24. So with COVID, the state came out and said, well, you need a plan in case there's a public health emergency involving a communicable disease. Thank you. Without Bob, I'd be lost. There we go. Thank you again. So just maybe I should give this to you. And so therefore, we have added that. That's in Appendix D as part of the plan of what we would do. Hopefully, we'll never be there. And on the last slide, I got it this time, right? Experiences during COVID, and what it is they realize district or school-wide remote learning. So we have to add a remote instruction provisions in there. There's 6 different areas under which the conditions could be there. And what we have to do is we have to ensure devices are available, look at internet access, provide special education-related services with students, and the expectations for time spent in different remote modalities should an emergency require us to become remote. People get very concerned. Does this mean we have no more snow days? Well, for one snow day, you can't turn around fast enough and move into a remote session. So I currently don't see that as a possibility. And why I use the word currently and stress that is 10 years down the road, I don't want to hear, well, you said we'll never do it. Where we are at this point in society, that's not happening. Where society goes is the future. I don't know how education will evolve because there's so much information on it. There's a lot of capability for synchronous, asynchronous learning. How will teachers develop and do their classes? For years, they've talked of flipped classrooms, where they do more of the lecturing and viewing that at home and then coming in and discussing the lecture they saw at home. Currently, there's not a lot of teachers doing that, but that's why I use the word currently. But right now, don't worry about your snow days. Any questions at all on this plan? All right. Whoops. Questions? All right, that was it. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to board discussion and news worth sharing. There's only one item on our agenda here. It's the ECASB updates. July 20th is the Board and Brews event for ECASB. The deadline to let ECASB know is Friday, the 7th, and you just have to email Jane Sullivan at e1b.org if you're going. So please let me know if you're going to be attending that. I'll take care of your registration. The next event after that is August 25th. It's the back to school dinner. That's always a nice event where everybody comes together, has dinner, and there's usually a really great speaker that gets us started for the school year. So stick that on your calendar. It's a Thursday. There's just about every Thursday in September, there is something going on. So there'll be a card coming out with all of the dates for the activities for the entire year. I'm sure that we'll have that sometime soon, probably by our July district planning meeting. So that's the ECASB update. For New York State School Board Association, I did want to let everybody know that I am going to be attending the leadership event at the end of July, right after our district planning. If you remember, I got a certificate to be able to attend an event for free. So that event is not costing the district anything. I get to go for free. And it is in Albany. It's a 2-day event. So I'll be going to that. And if anybody wants to go, let me know. All right. Any other discussions? Anything anybody wants to bring up for the board? Okay. Then that takes us to the superintendent report. And Mr. Schofield, I'll give it back to you.
All right. Response to last month's public comments. At the last meeting, a gentleman did come up and he did ask or make a comment about reduction in staff. If you remember, there was like a 5% reduction during the budget that was put forth. He was responded to. He also did email, so the board saw the whole response to that. But just to be clear, all the reductions were done based on enrollment. So there was a reduction in social studies because instead of saying needing 5 classes, we needed 4. In math, instead of needed 5, you needed 4. Social studies, math, science, English, music, phys ed. Did I miss any subject? It should be every area. Art was the only one that we couldn't see a reduction in, just the way they're put out and traveling. Every other area did face a reduction. And honestly, the public overall, for years, have been saying there's been a decline in enrollment. What are you doing with staffing? What are you doing with staffing every single year? And I've been telling the public, it's just not the right time yet. It's just not the right time yet. But because if you have 10 kids leave, that doesn't necessarily equate to one teacher. Well, this was the year that it happened, that we could fill the public, and there was since 2012, 2013, I think John had in his presentation, there was a 14.7 reduction in enrollment, and now we're at 14.5 reduction in staff. So they're pretty equal. And remember, special ed is always segregated out of this just because of that's based on meetings and needs of students, so it's not equitable to include that.
Doug, if I could just note too, and this is nothing new, this is something that we've been doing every single year since I've been on the board, is we always look at our staffing to make sure that we're right sizing for our population.
And this was more on the secondary level because 5-6 years ago, I'll say it was at the elementary level because it kind of makes sense. The smaller classes start in kindergarten and move up through. So it's just a natural process of business. It's very unfortunate. Phys ed, that was done through someone retiring. Other places had to be releasing a staff. Always hope to do it during, when someone retires, just it didn't line up that way for everybody. Next one is graduation. Great speech, good job, way to stand up there, you didn't get too nervous. I love graduation. The kids are so, families happy, people are proud, they go there. I'm still trying to figure out why all the kids don't throw their hats when I say you're graduated. Maybe because they're told not to by the principal ahead of time, which shows how well they listen. And I do know the principal says that, but one year everyone's going to say, I'm not listening, and toss the hat, which will be interesting.
Can I just throw in there, I mean, do you see how some of them have decorated it? I wouldn't throw that hat either.
Oh, they're gorgeous. I don't know if bedazzle's a real word, but they have, the cause they're going to or things they've done throughout the year or interest they have on it. And that's one thing I like to do is kind of watch as they go across the stage to see what they have on their hat. It's another joy I have. But great job. Congratulations to all the graduates. I'm sure they're at home right now watching us at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning after the 4th of July. Calendar. Moving on to that. Later on, there's in here, I'm asking for the board to change 2 dates. One date is in April that currently we have school, and the other one is in November when we don't have school. That's right before Thanksgiving break. Typically, we have 2 days before Thanksgiving break. This year, because of leap year, we were able to put 3 in there. I want to go back to the 2, and here's why. When our Western New York regions gets together, we try to adopt a calendar that's consistent for all school districts going through this area because that works better for families. You might have families that live in different areas you go on vacation with. Teachers live in different districts. BOCES, where kids go to programs. And for when that calendar was put out and we adopted the calendar based on our contracts the best we could to be identical, we weren't thinking of this date in April. That date in April is where there's a solar eclipse. It is going to be right over, the darkest part is over Buffalo, so there's expectations of a lot of people coming here, confusion, I don't want to say chaos, but that word has come up in some parties. So other districts started, because we adopted our calendar earlier, trying to make the parents know to do their vacations. We have changed, they're not going with the rest of your calendar, and we've done a survey, and it's become a majority of them, so BOCES are now starting to change their calendar, so we want to get on board with everyone else to continue with the consistency, and that's the reason for it. By all means, be careful during a solar eclipse. Don't be looking up at the sun. Yes, I know it's dark. If you're driving, pay attention to driving, and those are some of the concerns they're having. So any questions on why we're changing the calendar and what's being impacted? If someone has gone and already made plans to go on vacation for the November because of that day that we planned, we still honor that. Our parents can always take their children out. We do the best we can. But for faculty, if they can show evidence for the plan, that we honor that so they're not hit in any way because of us changing. And any questions? Then the other one is policy 8331. We're asking for it to be taken off. We have a committee, I think I mentioned it early, Erie One BOCES that reviews and recommends policies every year. We'll go through it. Somewhere along the line, we modified a policy, and we've recognized that this policy 8331 is actually a duplicate where it's covered in another one. You don't like duplicity in policies because if you modify one and you forget to change the other, you have contradictions. That's why we're removing 8331. It's already covered in another policy. So it's not that we're changing our mind on it, it's, we don't want duplicity. Any questions on that? All right, that's all I have.
All right. That brings us to recognition of guests. Do we have any guests that wish to be recognized? No. Okay. That brings us to discussion on items, agenda items 8.01 through 20.14. Is there any discussion on our consensus agenda?
Yeah, 19.13, again, I would be abstaining on that because Nora's, it involves Nora. I don't know if you would prefer to withdraw that from the consensus agenda or just leave it and I can just abstain, which is fine.
It's the same thing for me for 1901.
Just abstain.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Any other discussion then? So we have three people that will be abstaining because there's items within the consensus that
Directly
pertain to themselves or their spouses. Okay. Anything else? Any other discussion? Okay, can I have a motion to approve our consensus agenda 8.01 through 20.14?
So moved.
Okay, discussion already happened. All in favor? 2, 3, 4, and noes? 0, and abstains. We have 3. That motion does carry with 4 people voting for it. Consensus, let's see, that puts us to
Recognition of guests.
recognition of guests. Do we have guests that would? We do not. Do we need an executive session?
Do not.
Okay. Then that brings us to our adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved,
Second.
Discussion,
absolutely.
always. All right, all in favor? And that motion carries with all 7 of us voting. Our meeting adjourns at 9:05 a.m.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming in this morning. So